who loved football and wanted to be around football all the time and were going to knuckle down. He seems like a sort of kid that will take that on board and actually really kind of fit into that dynamic. I remember reading something about that he failed a test or something or other, and he got really upset on the pitch or something or other along those lines. And he seems like that sort of kid who's going to knuckle down and play for you, but also give you that 100% in training, in matches. So yeah, I can buy into Minka Fitzpatrick, to be honest with you.
Hey, I'll make you GM, right? We're picking 10th. Derwin James. Sorry, Bradley Chubb, Minka Fitzpatrick, Saquon Barkley, Maurice Hurst. They're out. Who do you pick?
Say that list one more time. You had Chubb, Hurst, Minka, James.
No. So Bradley Chubb, Minka Fitzpatrick, Saquon Barkley, who you wouldn't take, and Maurice Hurst. They've all been taken by the 10th pick. And Buffalo's calling. They want to give us both their first and a third to move up. Do you move back with Buffalo, or do you take any of the remaining guys? And if so,
if there's no Derwin James on the board, I would probably drop back.
Oh, but if Derwin James is there, you take him.
Yeah, if Derwin James is there, I'm taking Derwin. If I have the opportunity to drop back, I'm dropping back, because here's the spot for me. The backup plan is now I can focus on landing Ejiofor or Hubbard in round 2. Or I can even trade back again in round 1 and maybe land one of those two at the very end of round 1. But those are the two guys I focus on, and know that I have some space with those guys. So even if I lose out on Marcus Davenport, assuming he doesn't drop to me back at 20 or 21, then I'm happy camper. I could even take 21. I could take Ejiofor there. I'd be perfectly content with it because I'm taking somebody else at 20 as well. So that would be my move.
What about Mike McGlinchey?
I think, and this is just my personal opinion on the tackle position for the Raiders, I don't think this is the year that they necessarily need to address it. Again, I do think that they can absolutely have some flexibility with what they do offensive line-wise because of Kelechi Osemele. Again, what he's willing to do, I don't know. But I'm just saying from looking at it, from a theoretical standpoint, I don't see the urgency to have to take one this year. If anything, I think you definitely have to see what comes up next offseason, how they deal with the offensive line adjustment, no pen, if they bring back Feliciano or not, if there's any movement there, and then you address it in that season.
Yeah, I definitely think we take 2 pass rushers in the draft this year. Obviously in multiple rounds, but I think we definitely need to get that kind of straightened out on the team. We really need to get some depth there, help to Mack. I mean, the guy's literally been starved of support around him.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the difference is I don't necessarily think you need 2 edge rushers in this draft. I think you need 2 edge rushers, but you need that between free agency and the draft. I think what you need in the draft is you need to bring in an interior pass rusher that's going to rotate with Mario Edwards Jr. at like that 3 technique spot. Yeah. So I think that's where you get into the discussion of guys like Chad Thomas and Breland Speaks, who I think are a couple of very interesting guys that you can get in rounds 2 or 3. I think both of them you might be able to get in round 3 that could come in and do that job for you as a rotational 3 technique and learn that position. If you go watch Chad Thomas at Miami, he's listed as a defensive end, literally played defensive end maybe 5 snaps. He's like at defensive tackle as a 3 technique almost every play. And he's got some plays that they're hilarious to watch because guys just cannot keep up with how fast his feet are.
Yeah. Hey, what was I going to say? Oh, if Minka Fitzpatrick falls, do you take him over Derwin James?
Probably because of the Bama connection.
Yeah,
I think there's a certain level of knowledge you have of that player to know what you can get into immediately. That means that it's going to give you more flexibility with how you go and treat that player and what you do with him. So I do think that relationship is valuable. So I would think, you probably would go Minka over Derwin.
But now you said it would be a possibility to make a 5 DB base, just go with 5 DBs all the time. How do you stop the run with that? Do you load up on like big ass linemen in the middle during running downs or when they're loading it? What do you do?
Well, I think there's really two ways you do it. First things first, you have to give your defensive ends certain rules that fit what you want to do. So when you're strong side, you need a defensive end, and I think Mack would play this spot. You need him to be able to be a hammer against the run on the strong side. It has to happen. Because he's going to have to create space and allow that strong safety who's coming down the box, either Derwin James or Obi Melifonwu, to stay relatively clean to get to the runner. And then you're going to need linebackers who are willing to take on a fullback if he's there, or take on other additional linebackers. I think you have that, Bruce Irvin and, of course, Bowman. Now, on the back end, James and Morrow, that's a different question. On the weak side of the play, where you either have Obi or you have your other guy there, he should be in space a lot of time with nobody around him. It could be a bit of a joker or do a lot of different things for you. But it gives you an opportunity to play around with his role as well. Are you going to drop him in coverage? Are you going to, have him man up on somebody in the backfield? Is he going to be a green dog blitz type? Like, what exactly does he do? It really changes. You can decide too. Do you want your joker to be weak side or do you want your joker to be strong side? Do you want to align your defense, go, slant it over towards the strong side of the play, and then make that joker or make that weak side guy maybe more of a defensive end almost, and almost look like a 5-man front. So you can play with a lot of stuff with that front to really dictate how you defend the run. It just depends how you want to do it. But I do think you're going to use a lot of traditional 43 concepts for how you're going to go across the defensive line. It just depends how you want to compensate for it. And I think that comes down to more of the skill set of your players than anything else, and just assessing this guy can do this and do it very well, so that's what I'm going to ask him to do, as opposed to trying to have a cookie-cutter type approach to it. It's just going to require creativity and really understanding your guys, I think. But I think if you're going to do it, it's going to be very team-specific. I don't think it's a concept that necessarily is going to translate from one team to another and say, oh, this is exactly how you do it. Apply it.
Yeah.
It's going to be very customized.
Yeah, I think you was talking about the 5 defensive back scheme. I think that Derwin James kind of fits that mould a little bit better, just in terms of obviously like his ability, obviously, to rush the passer, but he's also very good in coverage as well. I think that he's overall probably better than Minka Fitzpatrick in that sort of scenario. But I think in other scenarios, maybe Fitzpatrick kind of is a little bit better in other ways.
Hey,
Rory.
Rory.
I think that's the question: is do you think you can utilize that strong safety type of bigger body guy in that way, or do you think you really need someone who you're willing to put to the outside to cover a wide receiver?
Yeah.
So which one do you want to solve? Because you can't solve both, but you could probably do one or the other. Because I don't buy Derwin James as an outside corner. It's like saying Obi Melifonwu should be an outside corner. It's it's idiotic.
I think he's a lot better than that position.
All right, Rory. Last question for you. Let's talk our best player, Khalil Mack. I know they sent in an offer sheet to him. When do you think he gets signed? Do you think it gets worked out before free agency starts to have a better idea? What the cap number is.
Absolutely, I think it has to happen. If they really want to be players in free agency, it has to happen. I don't know how they realistically think that they're going to fit Tremaine Johnson or that type of contract, even a Malcolm Butler, into that particular setup without getting Khalil Mack done. It's that important because realistically, so basically right now, Khalil Mack with his 5th-year option is on the hook for $13.86 million.
Mm-hmm.
if you go back and you look, so we'll do a little bit of a breakdown here. If you go back and you look at the contracts of, and I think the two guys you're going to comp out to this are going to be Von Miller and Ndamukong Suh. Von Miller got 6 years, 114, with $70 million guaranteed. And Ndamukong Suh got 6 years, 114, with I think like 65 guaranteed. The issue that's going to come up is how do you give him a new contract that allows you to save money on this year's salary cap? Mm-hmm. And that's an easy answer, but it's complicated. So the easy answer is you give him a big signing bonus. So when you give a guy a signing bonus, and here's some cap mechanics for those who don't know. When you give a guy a signing bonus, you pay that bonus the moment he signs his contract. So if I'm giving a guy a $30 million signing bonus, the moment he signs his contract, here's a check for $30 million. The problem is that $30 million is accounted for prorated across the life of the contract. So if it's a 5-year contract, it's prorated $6 million a season. Mm-hmm. So when you go to calculate the overall cap hit, it's base plus signing bonus. Now here's the catch. When they do these cap numbers, they do these contracts, the agents make a big deal out of the first 2-year total payout. So you count the signing bonus as the year one payout in terms of how the agent sees it. So if I'm going to give Khalil Mack a 6-year, $120 million contract, and I want to give him $60 million guaranteed with a $30 million signing bonus, that signing bonus is actually larger than what Von Miller got for his signing bonus. Okay? Von Miller's signing bonus, I'm looking for, where did it go? His signing bonus, I think, was like $17 million. Yeah, $17 million. So let's say you give Khalil Mack $30 million on the signing bonus.
Right.
Well, when you prorate that over 6 years, that's $5 million a year. But like I said, you already just paid him $30 million. Now let's say that you want to hit $40 million total payment after 2 years. It means you only have to come up with $10 million
the first 2 years
more for the next 2 years. So now I can say, okay, I'm going to give you a year one base salary of $1 million. So now his year one cap hit's only $6 million. $1 million for the base, $5 million for the proration. And then year two, I come back and say, okay, I'm going to give you a $9 million base in year two. Now his cap hit jumps from 6 to 14, but now he's also received $40 million in the first 2 years. You guarantee his base salaries for year 1 and 2. His signing bonus is guaranteed, so now he's at $40 million guaranteed. You guarantee his base salary in year 3. And you make his base salaries in year 3, 4, 5, and 6 $20 million each. So when it's all said and done, you have 6 years, $120 million contract, $30 million signing bonus, $60 million guaranteed. Years 4, 5, and 6, he's making $25 million, $20 million of it in base. So year 4, if you want to cut him, you have a $5 million savings. Year 5, if you cut him, it's $10 million savings. Year 6, if you cut him, it's $15 million savings.
All right, let's go back over it really slowly because it gets a little confusing. So
yes,
we're talking $30 million signing bonus paid out immediately after he signs, right?
Yes.
And but on the books, it's $5 million each year for 6 years.
Yes.
So you said the first year the base salary would be $1 million.
Yep.
So that would be $6 million on the books. But he's actually getting $31 million. Second year base is $9 million. That's $14 million on the books, and he's getting $9 million. So that's $40 million, right?
That means $40 million after the first 2 years.
After the first 2 years, and how big is the contract? 6 years? How many million?
120.
No, does that include the bonus?
Yes.
Oh, good. So
that total number of 120 includes the value of the bonus.
Okay.
So the bonus, so for people to understand, a signing bonus is an accounting trick. What it does, and the reason why it exists, is it allows the wealthy owners to manipulate the cap rules. because they can make any part of the contract a signing bonus, and it allows them to pay it out immediately